It has been a little bit since I have filmed, so we are going to be doing a big mega recording day today. And I'm going to start things off for the day with a little book tag and some crazy hair. So let's get into the Memento Mori book tag. Hello, book friends. It's Alyssa. I don't know what's happening with this hair. We're just going to go with it. I decided to try to do something with it, and now I look a little bit like, I don't know, a 90s mom. It's too much. Anyway, hello, welcome back to the channel. I will stop fidgeting with it at some point. The unfortunate thing is that I can see myself the entire time I'm filming, so that means that I see how ridiculous it looks. Let's move on. Hello, welcome back to the channel. It's been a little bit. I haven't really had the time nor the inclination to film, and I thought that I would wait until I had the day off to film in the daylight. And you know what's happening today? It is pouring rain. So we're just gonna go with it. This is the day I have. I have things planned. So I saw this book tag, this really fun little book tag on Grix, etc., their channel. I saw this on their channel. It's from the Polyglot Reader, and I thought it was a fun little sort of semi-morbid tag, and it's basically all kind of about death and reading and that jazz. And since death is actually like a big part of my life, I do see a lot of it. I find it a very interesting topic. It's a topic that I relate to a lot. I will one day stop looking like a deflated Dolly Parton and futzing with my hair, I swear to God. Also, do we like my Otessa Moshfeg's shirt? You can get yours at girlparts.co. Anyway, so let's get into this. Enough silliness. Let's just talk about this book tag. Question 1. How many books do you think you will be able to read before you die, considering your age and statistical life expectancy? Okay, I did a little math. I have notes. In my family, we're not doing like American female life expectancy. We're not doing that. In my family, you either like die in your 70s or you live to like somewhere over 95. Okay, that's all you got. If you make it past 70, it's probably pretty clean sailing until your 90s. So I did two calculations. So I'm 40 years old. I calculated that I have 30 years till I'm 70. I read approximately 200 books a year, give or take, I don't know, like 30 or 50, either side of that. So approximately 6,000 books I could read before I die. Not a bad number considering I have about 2,000 plus books in this house, and I've read about 35% of them. So I could technically get through all of those and still be able to buy new books. So I like that. And then on the upper limit of this, if I did make it to say 95, my last living grandparent is 95 right now. She is still a kickin'. And if I did make it to that, that's 55 years, which means I have 11,000 books that I could read if I'm still reading at about a 200 book per year clip. And I only anticipate that that would get to be more if I got into like retirement. So I think it's a pretty conservative estimate, 200 a year. I like those numbers. Those make me happy. Next question. How does this number affect your choices in books? It makes me feel like I could maybe finish all the books I own as long as I keep prioritizing them. Otherwise, it doesn't really make me feel like anything because I will never be able to read all the books that were ever written. I really need to stop fussing with myself, but I can't because this hair is driving me crazy. Okay, note to self, Alyssa, don't curl your hair ever again for a video. Question 3. This question I don't like simply because it makes me the most sad. What will happen to my book collection when I die? Well, I don't have children and I don't have nieces or nephews, so I'm fairly certain that whatever friends remain at the end of my time will pick them over, and then they will either end up being, I don't know, sold, donated, thrown in a trash bin, and that makes me sad. Yeah, so that's what's gonna happen. I don't have like a fun answer for this. In all likelihood, they're probably going to be disposed of. And that's sad. That's the sad. That's sad. That's sad. That is a super, super sad. It is sad like this little curl is sad. Okay? It is sad. Next question. Is there a book that helps you cope with the disturbing fact of a limited lifespan? In all honesty, no, there is no singular book that makes me like cope with death or the the finiteness of life. I'm pretty sure that there's lots of people that have done this tag at this point that have referenced several different uh, philosophy books or other kinds of books that are maybe more attuned to that kind of thinking or self-help or whatever. But the reality is that I just read books to deal with the finiteness of life. Books allow me to have an infinite number of experiences. They allow me to learn new things and get a taste for new cultures, worlds. I like the way that books have helped me escape, and that escapism is what I need when dealing with how life sucks and it is finite. And yeah, I like reading. Now, I also read a lot of sad books, which I don't know what that says about my coping mechanisms, but yeah, I think that books themselves are what help me deal with the thought of having a limited lifespan. Also, reading a lot of vampire-like, immortal-like stories does make me rethink the idea of immortality. Uh, do we all want to really live forever? Though it would be interesting, it would be upsetting to constantly lose everybody you've ever known. That would be brutal. If you outlived everyone you ever loved, I think having a finite life is maybe a little bit better. 5, do you have a specific nonfiction book on the topic of death that you would like to recommend? I wrote down 3. I think 2 of them are pretty obvious choices and common choices. One is Smoke It's in Your Eyes by Caitlin Doughty. I really enjoyed this. She works in the funeral business. I think it's fascinating what happens to our bodies when we pass and how we kind of exit this mortal plane. You know, like, where do we go? How do we dispose of our bodies? How do we inter our bodies? And the process of all that, so much of it is kept behind closed doors. And also, just in general, a lot of death is we're very segregated from it. So only certain people have connection with death and see people from, living to their final resting place. And I think that in some ways that sterilization of death isn't great. I think that it maybe makes it harder for people to let go of people when they're really sick. I think it's often hard to find closure when you lose somebody if you're not able to be there when they pass or have some sort of like interaction with their passing in some way. Like, are you preparing their body? Are you holding their hand when they go? Do you get to take a lock of their hair? Or I've had people take fingerprints of their loved ones, or whatever it is that helps you cope. If you can't have that connection, or if there is this idea of like, once they're dead, there's some sort of ickiness to it or dirtiness to it or barrier between you and the dead person, I don't think that that's great. So I like these books for breaking down those walls. The other one on here is All the Living and the Dead by Haley Campbell. I read this last year, I think, and it's really interesting. It talks about different kinds of people that are associated with death and dying. So like medical examiners and crime scene investigators and the people who handle, like, maybe work in the mortuary down in the hospital, or all kinds of different people that handle remains or handle dead or deal with dead bodies. This one was really interesting, looking at all the different kinds of people that are involved in, for lack of a better term, I guess, the death industry. And then Stiff, The Curious Life of Human Cadavers by Mary Roach. I did enjoy that one a little bit, but I don't think it was as good as the other 2, in my humble opinion. And that may be because of the order that I read some of these books. I did, naturally have more of an affinity to one over the other as a result. But I think that one's also really good. There's a lot of attempt at humor in Stiff that falls a little flat for me too. I kind of could have done without it. 6. Here's where humor comes. Humor can be helpful to comfort death. Do you have a favorite witty quote on death? I don't, but I did do some research. There's one in a review that I'm going to be doing soon of Martyr in the back, which I think is really good. At the end of Martyr is a Clarice Lispector note. It goes, "My God, I just remembered that we die, but me too? Don't forget that for now. It's strawberry season." It's easy to forget, I think, that we all die. And I do use a lot of dark humor, obviously, to get through, especially at work and stuff. But I wouldn't share any of that here. 1, it would need setup and context. And 2, you'd probably think I feel like dark humor only works with other people who also have a really sick sense of humor, and it doesn't translate well on the internet. So I have a few more. The trouble with quotes about death is that 99.9% of them are made by people who are still alive. I liked that one. Joshua Burns, I believe. Millions long for immortality who don't know what to do with themselves on a rainy Sunday afternoon. Susan Errett. I thought those two were really good as well. If you have a really good quote about death, I'd love to hear it. And that's the whole book tag. It's a very quick little book tag, very short little book tag. I don't know if I'm going to tag anybody specifically. I might, I don't know. I can tag some people below. So tag your it. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. If not, just let me know in the comments what you think about these things. Do you have other book recommendations for books about death, books dealing with death, things that help you cope with that idea that we live a finite existence? I would love to hear your answers, even if you're not going to do the tag. But otherwise, that's a little book tag. Hopefully that has warmed up my mouth a little bit so that I can possibly film the rest of these videos that are going to involve so much more talking than this. But yeah, anyway, thank you guys for watching. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video, whatever it may be, because it's my channel and I can do whatever I want. Bye.
So just sit with me, talking to the night until the morning, building chemistry. I don't think I ever wanna go come closer now.